Okay, I have glaucoma, and so for glaucoma, you have to take drops in your eyes each day. Put drops in your eyes to keep the pressures down in your eyes. And I really don't know exactly what that means, but I just know that every now and then I have to go and get my pressures checked. And to get my pressures checked, I first go into a room that doesn't have the doctor in it. It's just like a medical assistant type person, and then that person will give me the eye chart test, which you would think by now I'd have it sort of memorized as many times as I've done it, but I guess that would be defeating the purpose. But anyway, so I do the eye chart test, and then they put this little, I guess, sort of like instrument in front of me that I have to lean up close, and I have to put my chin like on a cup sort of thing on this measuring device, which actually that's the thing that checks my pressures. So I put my chin on there, and then I look through you can tell I'm not very technical here in my thinking how this works, but there's like these little areas that you look through, and then right on the other side is the medical assistant person, and I mean right on the other side. I mean, we're talking, it seems like 8 inches, if that. I mean 6 inches. We're just like right there with this kind of metal machine thing in between us, but we're that close. And and by the way, there's no barrier like over, like it just goes pretty much like the top half of your face. So the first time I'm doing this, I'm really concerned, because what if I had bad breath and this person is 6 inches or so away from me, 7 inches, whatever, and I have bad breath, and this person's on the other side again, looking into my eyes, shining this light and checking pressures. Well, my pressures were really high on this day. I mean, higher than they should have been. And so she's concerned, and then she said, "Were you holding your breath?" And I said, "Well, yeah." Because in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I'm not gonna breathe on you while we're doing this. And she said, "You can't hold your breath because you have to breathe normally during this test. It will mess up the pressures in your eyes." So I'm like, in my mind, this is terrible, because I don't know for sure if I have bad breath, because you can't smell your own breath. So it's like one thing you never really know. And so I didn't know, but I was assuming it may not be good. And again, I'm this close to this person. I feel like I'm gonna wipe her out during this test if I breathe. But I had to, so the test could be done. And so I breathed reluctantly. It was really uncomfortable. And my pressures came down, and I don't know how she felt about everything, but I just had to do that. So then she records the pressures, but then you go into another room with the actual doctor, and then he has to do that too. So it's not just enough that the medical assistant does it, but then he rechecks it. And so I'm thinking, here we go again. And so I put my face up to this little instrument, and I look through it, and again, I know I have to breathe, and so I reluctantly start breathing. And then he's only 7 or 8 inches from me, and he's breathing too. And his breath about knocked me out. And I got thinking, man, I can breathe. Because if his breath is that way, like, I'm going to go right back at you, dude. I'm going to breathe. And I'm not going to worry about it because he has bad breath too. So I just breathed away. And to this day, when I go in there, I'm thankful that he has bad breath. And I just breathe. Now, the medical assistant, I just breathe because she insists that I do. And so I got thinking about that. How ridiculous is it in life when we just all struggle with this thing of not really being ourselves? Like, who doesn't have bad breath at some point in their life? I'm assuming everybody does. And I'm assuming I do, because I've never been able to smell my breath, so I'm assuming I do. But who doesn't have bad breath at some point in their life? And yet, we are horrified to think that somebody might see that we are real, that we are human, that we're part of, like everybody else, we also have bad breath. And I just got thinking on the way home from that experience that this is so dumb that, I try to work on just being myself. I really just try to be that way. But yet, there's things that happen like that make me realize, I still am sometimes afraid just to be who I am and let people see me for who I am. And, unfortunately, the more we do that, the less real our relationships are with people. Because if we can't be real with people, then it's really hard for them to be real with us. And I'm a pastor, and so I see that in the church. I see how people are afraid to let others know that they have bad breath or that they have other things in their life that's not really great. But yet, how comforting it is to know that my doctor has bad breath. And like, I can just breathe around him. I can just be myself around him. Wouldn't it be great if we could just stop worrying so much about how we come off to other people, like that we could just be real in who we are? And wouldn't it be great if others would feel that way around us, that they could have bad breath and like we're not gonna think they're awful? I mean, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great in your church if you could just totally be who you are and feel like that's okay? I know that's what God wants. And I know that's an easier way for you and I to both live, to not have to feel like we have to create this image that we have to live up to. And we create it. I mean, who doesn't know that people have bad breath? But yet, somehow I create this idea that, well, no one can know. No one can know. And life is hard enough without feeling like we have to project something that we're not. I'm not real sure this verse goes exactly with having bad breath, but I like it. Not bad breath, but I like this verse. And this is what the writer of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 says. And again, he's not talking about bad breath, but I just like this verse. And it says, "By the grace of God, I am what I am." And the verse goes on, but I'm just going to read that much. By the grace of God, I am what I am. We are who we are. We are people that have faults. We are people that have sins. We are people that have very bad breath at times. And I'm assuming that I do, because I've never smelled my breath, but I'm assuming that I have very bad breath. And we are what we are. And the sooner we can accept that, the better off we will feel. Maybe even the less judgmental we'll be of others. And I think the better our relationships will be. We are what we are, bad breath and all. So just think about that. Try to be yourself. Try to not put unrealistic expectations and unrealistic levels that you have to try to keep up. Just go ahead and be who God created you to be. Just go ahead and be human. It's okay. Hey, I really appreciate you listening in. I appreciate you, if you like this, to like it, thumbs up and share it, and all the stuff that we do in the internet world to try to get the message out. So if this is helpful for you, it'll be helpful for someone else.